Welcome to today's Explainer. We've got a seriously high-stakes, absolutely urgent situation unfolding right now in the Indian polymer market. If you're involved in procurement, processing, or just tracking commodities, you already know volatility is the name of the game. But what we're looking at today, it's not your standard run-of-the-mill market fluctuation, no way. We're talking about a rapid, multifaceted wave of price cuts and shifting exchange rates that are completely upending the status quo. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what's happening, why it's happening so fast, and what the data tells us you should expect next.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because to really grasp the local panic, we first have to look at the global catalyst. Basically, everything in the Polymer Bazaar is deeply tethered to energy commodities, right? And right now, the macro-global picture is shifting in a big way. The data shows that as tensions in the Middle East have begun to cool down, we're seeing a corresponding drop in global energy prices. And in our hyper-connected economy, falling energy commodities never, ever happen in a vacuum. The literal second crude falls, it triggers this massive ripple effect across global bazaars. And right now, those ripples are crashing directly into the Indian market, acting as the main catalyst for all the domestic disruptions we're tracking.
But the impact isn't actually uniform across the board, which is exactly what makes this market so incredibly fascinating to analyze right now. We're seeing a bit of a split reality playing out with global offers for Indian ports. For polypropylene, or PP, and polyethylene, PE, the latest data shows overseas offers are actually remaining largely stable, or, at least nominal. But PVC? PVC is telling a completely different story. It's already started witnessing a very noticeable downward push across the entire Asian region. So you've got stability in some polymers and a super clear downward trend in another, which is absolutely setting the stage for some very complex decision-making if you're a domestic importer.
Let's see how this all builds up, because the speed at which this global shift triggered local action is just staggering. We are literally looking at a rapid chronological domino effect hitting the domestic market in just 4 short days. Look at this timeline. On August 6th, Reliance Industries Limited, or IRL, initiates a major pent discount. Literally 1 day later, on August 7th, the government steps in with a customs rate drop. And then, by August 10th, Supreme Petrochem follows up with aggressive cuts of their own. Boom, boom, boom. Within just 4 days, the entire landscape completely shifted. Let's break down exactly what happened on each of these dates, starting with August 6th.
So on August 6th, the domestic giants really started showing their hand. RIL announced an early bird discount for PET, set at exactly 2 rupees per kilogram. Now, keep in mind, this isn't just some open-ended offer. It's highly targeted, running specifically from August 6th through August 15th. But here is the critical detail that actually matters for market confidence. This discount is fully backed by price protection, which also went into effect on August 6th. This move by RIL was really the first major domestic domino to fall. It was basically a giant signal to the rest of the bazaar that the big players were adjusting to that global cooling we were just talking about.
And this brilliantly illustrates how institutional forces compounded that exact momentum just a day later. On August 7th, the Indian Customs Department stepped in and revised the US dollar to Indian rupee exchange rate. The new import evaluation rate was lowered to 96.05 rupees per dollar, which is a drop of 1.15. So think about it. When the government lowers the import evaluation rate right in the middle of a global energy cooling trend, it structurally reduces the landed cost of imported materials. This government revision essentially threw gasoline on the already accelerating expectations for a much cheaper domestic polymer market.
Which brings us to the third massive domino, on August 10th. By this point, the pressure was just immense, and Supreme Petrochem made a highly aggressive move. They slashed the prices for general-purpose polystyrene, GPPS, and high-impact polystyrene, HIPS, by 3 rupees per kilogram. When a major supplier drops prices by 3 whole rupees per kilo right on the heels of the RIL discount and that customs rate revision, it doesn't just lower the cost of goods, it totally shifts the psychology of the entire market. This specific deep cut by Supreme Petrochem immediately intensified the chatter across the whole bazaar.
So the absolutely crucial point here is how these top-down corporate and government moves are creating real on-the-ground reactions. We're not just looking at numbers on a spreadsheet anymore, we're looking at a wave of genuine market panic. First off, the open bazaar premiums are dropping drastically. That extra cash buyers were willing to pay just to secure material? Yeah, that's vanishing. Second, there's a rapid, undeniable shift in overall bazaar sentiment. Any confidence in holding inventory is completely gone. And third, because of that lost confidence, processors have shifted entirely to a super cautious, need-based buying approach. Nobody wants to buy a massive stockpile today if the price is going to be cheaper tomorrow, right? That's just bad business. So they're buying strictly what they need to keep the machines running, fiercely protecting their bottom lines.
Okay, so we've seen the global triggers, we've tracked the insane 4-day timeline of local price cuts, and we've seen the resulting panic in need-based buying happening on the ground. But as you know, looking backward only gets us so far. The absolute most pressing question for anyone navigating this market right now is this: what happens next? Like, specifically, what does all of this mean for the major commodity polymers like PP, PE, and PVC as we move through the rest of the week?
Well, based on the rapid developments we've just mapped out, the forecast points really strongly in one direction. Domestic producers are currently under immense pressure, and it's highly likely they'll soon be forced to cut ex-works prices across those key commodity polymers this week. We're talking specifically about polypropylene, polyethylene, and PVC. Because buyers are so entrenched in their need-based strategies right now, producers are kind of left with zero choice but to adjust their ex-works numbers downward just to stimulate some movement and clear out that inventory.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how you can actually get an edge during this exact type of volatility, and this is exactly where technology steps in. Polymer Bazaar is set to release their official price predictions very soon, but as we all know, waiting around can cost you serious money. Their AI chatbot actually gives you sub-5-second predictions directly on your phone, way ahead of the official release. It's incredibly easy. Just shoot a WhatsApp message with the word prediction to the provided number, and boom, you get instant, actionable Bazaar intelligence.
And that brings us to the single most important question you gotta ask yourself right now. In a bazaar this volatile, where global energy shifts can literally rewrite domestic pricing in just 4 days, are you merely reacting to the market after the fact? Are you actively predicting it? Because as we've clearly seen today, when those dominoes start falling, the processors who rely on advanced intelligence and proactive strategies are the ones who ultimately protect their bottom line. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay sharp, stay informed, and we'll catch you next time.